Welcome to Pivot, a podcast hosted by Katie Day, where we find out how business owners have been pivoting their businesses to stay relevant and successful.
Hey guys, what's going on? Katie Day with the Movement to Texas team with Coldwell Banker here in Houston, Texas, here for another episode of the Pivot podcast. Today, I am joined by Sam Hartman, a Coldwell Banker agent in Indiana. And what's going on, Sam? How are you today?
Hey, good, Katie Day. It's good to see you again. Good to see you again.
I know.
We haven't been in person in a long time together, but I feel like through Facebook and everything that I've seen you a lot recently. So
I know, right? Cool. I feel like we've stayed connected, but So I guess we met at, was it Gen Blue?
It was Gen Blue in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in one of the Cirque du Soleil theaters.
I love that theater.
MGM Grand.
Yep.
And I think we were ready to watch Tom Ferry do a little presentation, and we just started chit-chatting and exchanged cards and followed each other on Facebook ever since. And I enjoy, keeping in touch with you that way and seeing what you're doing and keeping up on you.
Yeah. Same here. So what's new with you, since it has been a while since we've, talked to each other in person or, directly, I guess?
Obviously, I know we're here to pivot and talk about all the things that are changing in the world. So I won't bore you right now with everything that's happening in Indiana with COVID. But more exciting personally for me and my family is that we're adding to the baby boom of COVID and not the divorce boom of COVID. So that's the big positive from my family side of things. Me and my wife are expecting our first child January 1st, actually.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you guys have names picked out or anything like that? Have you talked about that yet?
We know it's a boy.
Okay.
And we have talked a lot about names.
Yeah.
And we are getting nowhere. So
are you all, once you decide, are you going to tell people or are you going to keep it a secret?
I think we're going to keep it a secret.
Okay.
My wife doesn't care about too many people's opinions, so I think the less opinions that she has on it, the better.
Yeah. I feel like when, at least for some of my friends that have had kids, once they start trying to figure out names, they realize like, oh man, I hated a kid with that name in elementary school. And like you go real far back into the history of relationships and
I'm thinking
friendships.
I'm thinking of people's dogs. I'm thinking of kids I went to high school and elementary school with. Fortunately, like, our parents neither of us are like teachers or in education. I feel like teachers have it the worst because they see like every name in the book and
they probably don't like a lot of them.
Every name they're going to have a kid that associates to something bad about it. So
yeah, that kid was a troublemaker. So
yeah. Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah. My husband's family, like they have a lot of Johns in their family. So like his name is John Ryan. His dad's name is John Kevin. But then my brother named his kid Jonathan. So I was like, I think it would be weird for us to then, like, at whatever point we have kids, like go with his family thing. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of thought goes into it. And we're not even, on that same path yet. So good luck. I'm excited. So you said January is
January 1st, maybe hopefully a little sooner for, tax purposes.
Or some excitement for 2020, something
joyous, something good. Yeah, anything good in 2020 would just be great to have too. Yeah, it'd be easy. It'd be really easy to remember the kids' like age. 2020. It'd be easy to just add. 2021. Oh, he's one. So that'd be nice too. I can be forgetful.
Yeah, no, that's helpful because I'm over here trying to figure out age, with my fingers and addition and subtraction's hard for sure.
Yep.
Cool, man. So obviously, we're both in real estate. We're both with Coldwell Banker. We met at a real estate conference. So I think we have, a lot of the same kind of thoughts as far as business go and some of the stuff like marketing and things like that. Mm-hmm. Have you always been in real estate? When did you get into real estate? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So I graduated college in 2009. When did you get into real estate, Katie?
So I graduated college in 2008.
Okay.
And I got into property management and I did that for a while.
Okay.
And then that just kind of, ran its course, and then I got into actual like residential sales in full time in 2017.
Yeah. So we are similar, time frames of coming to life into a career, getting out of college, looking for a job. And 2008, 2009, if you remember, job prospects were pretty poor. So I really struggled out of college, like just finding something that I liked doing. And, I think the millennial generation, I think we want a lot of fulfillment out of our job and careers. And so that was hard to find for me, especially in 2009, where just no one was hiring. Any career path that I thought I wanted wasn't available to me.
Yeah.
So I job hopped a little bit, lots of sales stuff. I'm an outgoing guy. Sales, fits me, but they were never industries. They were never products I believed in. There just was nothing there. So I took a job as a college admission counselor back at my university, at my alma mater, and did that for about 3 years. And I really liked it because it kind of kept me from having to grow up too fast. Because I was still on a college campus. I was the faculty advisor of my fraternity.
Yeah.
I'm just surrounded by, all these college kids and stuff. So I didn't have to grow up and, be too mature too quickly in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also loved it because as an admission counselor, it was sales, but it was very much in line with how I like to sell. It's advisory selling.
Yeah.
It's finding the fit for this kid. And if it's not the fit, they're not going to choose this school, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's, kind of the plenty of fish in the sea type of thing. Like, it's okay that I didn't get this kid, but there's going to be other great fits out there. And so developing those relationships with the kids and the families, and building their trust and communicating with them and getting them the information that they need to make such a, big life decision for the next 4 to 5 years of their life and affecting the next forever of their life was enjoyable for me. But education wasn't a field that I really saw myself being in. It was a great job for the time being to kind of get me through kind of those tough job market times, but it just wasn't something I saw myself doing forever. So one day I got a call from our managing broker of our local affiliate of Coldwell Banker. And he was looking for someone I actually went to high school with his daughter. So I kind of had like a connection with the family and stuff. He knew me before. Got a call from him, and he was looking for someone to manage the recruitment of their offices. Mm-hmm. So he's like, what's that, Sam? What's Sam do? Oh, he recruits college students. Maybe he could recruit realtors as well. So he brought me in for an interview. I never really thought about real estate, but I was like, well, I'm recruiting college students. This is kind of an opportunity to get out of the public, get out of the education realm and get into something different.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a couple of years, got my license to just kind of understand the industry and understand what the agents were doing and going through, and, be able to further connect with agents on that level. And I just fell in love with the selling side of it. Again, that relationship selling, that advisory selling that real estate is. I mean, you and I don't sell a house, we connect a buyer to a house, and we facilitate that trust and that process of them feeling comfortable, because it is the biggest purchase they'll probably ever make at that time in their life, at least. So I just connected with that. I actually sell in the market that I have grown up in. So the market knowledge was already really there. The personal connections and the sphere of influence was already there for me. So it just made sense. And I dove in full time in 2014, 2013, maybe somewhere in there. It was when I kind of dove into that then.
Yeah. I mean, and even when you were describing kind of like what you were doing, like for admissions and recruitment for the school, I was like, you sound like you're talking about real estate already. So like clearly a very, great path, to be able to, kind of transition from education to real estate and then eventually real estate sales. So that's cool. I didn't know that, so that's awesome. So, talking a little bit kind of about kind of COVID and everything that's happened this year, I think especially, as we were talking before this, we were talking a little bit about like the news and social media and just how like all of it, kind of just brings me down. I don't want to get on Facebook. I don't want to watch the news. I want to stay up to date. But kind of, instead of the negative and all that, what would you say would be the biggest positive you've seen, either personally or professionally, over the past, now more so than few months, but past few months or past, months of this year?
Well, the biggest positive is the baby coming out of it. That was good use of our time. Yeah, there's been a lot of, I stopped watching the news long ago when all this started happening, because I was just getting depressed. And I kind of get, in the real estate industry, and maybe your market's a little different because you guys are down in warm areas, but we get pretty cold winters up in Indiana. So our market tends to take a little bit of a dip from Thanksgiving to New Year's. And I almost always get just kind of this seasonal depression where I don't feel like I'm being valuable to people, because I'm not constantly, people just aren't buying and selling at the rate that they are in the summer months and stuff. And I take a lot of satisfaction from that, helping people and stuff like that. So early on with this COVID stuff, I kind of felt that trickling in again, because I think people were just not stopping, but being
pausing,
of what things were and where things were going to go. And the first 2 weeks of April were just kind of like rock bottom for our market in terms of showing traffic, and listings were down about 25% in April, and we've already got extremely low inventory in our market. So I don't know, that kind of put me down early on. I kind of started sleeping in and kind of feeling sorry for myself and for our market. And then I just, was like, just stop it. Like, you've got this time, and this time can be a blessing. Like, utilize it. Like, what are the things that you've always wanted to do with your business and maybe said you didn't have time to do? Now you have time. You don't have an excuse. So, do you follow the Keeping Current Matters guys?
Yeah.
They were like so helpful for me, just kind of staying positive about where the market's going and being able to provide, valuable information to my clientele and my market and stuff about what really, what are the effects of this, this COVID situation? How does this compare to other recessions and other downturns in our market? Are we looking at a downturn and stuff like that? So, I just would say I let the time kind of work against me on the front end. I just kind of, I think a lot of people did, and that's okay. We can give ourselves a little grace there. We're all dealing with unique situations that's never happened before, but you viewing that time as a positive thing and as a resource and putting it to work for you, I think was kind of the biggest positive. Another thing I would say too is that my business didn't stop, but I'm still on pace for like a record year this year compared to last year. And my business hasn't stopped, but I've become super efficient with my business. Like people are not listing a house or buying a house unless they are like ready to go, like ready to make it happen. So, the time frame from like an initial meeting with a buyer to, getting them under contract with an accepted offer or something has tended to be much, much quicker right now, because people, if they're diving into the market with these interest rates as good as they are, like they're ready to make it
serious.
Happen.
So a few things. The Keeping Current Matters, for anyone out there that's listening, if you haven't heard of them or haven't, seen the information that they put out, it's great, for real estate agents for sure. And also for consumers. And that's something that they were saying that they were seeing on a lot of their stuff that they were putting out was like, normally it was like agents, with questions and things like that. But like, as, we've kind of navigated through the past few months of this pandemic, like they were seeing like consumers like, well, I'm thinking about selling my house and, blah, 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 blah. So, the thing that I like is like they give the good news and the bad news. And I think that a lot of real estate agents out there, I don't know, how it is in your market, but here it's like, they're like, things are wonderful. It's great. It's this, it's that. You should buy and sell right now. And like, it's not always the case to do that. It's not always the best scenario to do that. So I like that they're giving the information, and the facts. And like, sometimes like, hey, like this could be bad or this could be good. So, it's been helpful for us for sure to stay kind of up to date with the economic impact of everything that's happening.
Absolutely. And I'll add that kind of made me think of another positive from all this that I'll add, and maybe not everyone will view it as a positive, but our market has been, ranked as one of the hottest real estate markets for the last several years, just depending on the month by realtor.com and some other websites and stuff like that. Just extremely low inventory. We've had about 10% appreciation for the last 3 years, year over year. So we've been in an extremely hot market, and that's also grown our realtor market as well. And, you know, I'm a abundance mindset. Doesn't bother me, whatever. There's enough to go around. My market's my market. I'll be fine. But I've always kind of joked before this that, like, you know, the real estate market could use a plague to kind of thin out the herd of all these new realtors that are getting into the business, but are not really truly professional realtors. And then this happens. So I think a small positive is that, like, the cream will rise to the top, and the rest will kind of settle at the bottom. And so I think the true professionals, the people that really treat this as a career and a job and not just a hobby, or, you know, not just kind of, I like watching the TV shows, so I think I'm going to try to do that in real life. I think that's going to kind of separate themselves here this year. And people that kind of quarantine themselves in their business life are going to feel those effects in 2021 for sure.
Yeah. And that was like some hard decisions we had to make, you know, as far as like marketing dollars and things like that. And, you know, I would say April, we definitely paused and, you know, didn't spend any additional money, kept things the same. But then when we realized that, you know, business was still happening and, you know, and homes were still selling and people wanted to get back out in the market, even with everything that was going on, we're like, we need to double down on some things, you know? So we actually increased our mailing budget. We increased our you know, online advertising, like, you know, Facebook ads and things like that, because people are home, they're checking their mail, they're on their computers. And it was the results from all of that were crazy. Like, you know, normally an ad that would get 50 inquiries had like 200. It was like, we were like, is this real? You know? So
you've got to, and that's another positive. You got a captive audience. I mean, life has slowed down and people are, you know, a little more willing to stop and listen and give their attention to something for a longer period of time too.
One of the things I feel like I've been doing a lot more is cooking at home, which, like, I feel like as things got busier for both, because like Ryan's in real estate too, right? So like as things got busier for us, like we weren't eating meals together, we were eating out of a Tupperware, walking, you know, through the kitchen, like talking on the phone, you know? So it was like, okay, you know, we start work a little bit earlier because we're not driving to the office. But then, like, you know, if we can finish up and actually sit down and have dinner together, it was like a very novel concept the first few weeks of like the stay-at-home order and everything. Right. Being together and eating together. So I thought that was really nice.
I totally agree. We started cooking more, but now that stuff is starting to open back up, I feel like going out to eat's the only social thing that we can do. So we've been doing a lot more of that recently now too. So I also think it's been really cool. I don't know how it's been up there, but like a lot of restaurants have done, like, you know, to-go menus where it's like an entire meal packaged up, or, you know, some have like meal kits where you can cook it at home. So it's been really cool, like being able to support local restaurants in like fun ways other than, you know, just going in and sitting down when, you know, obviously for a while we couldn't do that. So talk about pivoting. I don't know what your schedule looks like for interviews, but like talk about, you know, some restaurateurs, you know, to get their perspective would be amazing to hear what people were going through financially and just decision wise to figure out how they were going to survive this. I mean, fortunately in real estate, I mean, our markets have been so good for so long, and our inventory has been so low that we motored right through this. Restaurants, a whole different story, whole different world that they're going through for sure.
So, you know, I mean, I think we've kind of touched on this a lot of like things that you had done. Is there anything, just kind of thinking about it maybe from a like more bird's eye view or anything like that? Like, is there anything specific that you feel like, you know, you were like, okay, this is something I need to do different now in order to continue to remain both relevant or successful, you know, moving forward?
So I think a couple things that I've really kind of grasped onto and really view as great opportunities is this opportunity to utilize this technology in a way that can make meetings like this, or with clients, or, you know, reaching a broader audience so much easier. And the world has become, you know, no one likes change. No one is comfortable with change, but like when change is
it's
thrust
happening
on you, like you've got nothing else to do other than just roll with it. And so the world is like now comfortable with this technology and being able to, you know, meet a client that's relocating from another market to our market and to meet them face to face and have this conversation. And I'm not having to drive to a coffee shop to do that, or, you know, or have to coordinate schedules in this crazy way. It's like, boom, it's here on the calendar. We're face to face. We're talking. We're building that rapport that is so important in our industry. And we're doing it so much more efficiently. And then to kind of reach a broader audience, something I've always, so one thing that I changed recently, and this was not due to COVID or anything, but I brought on a sales associate to work with me last year. And so, and the main purpose for that was so that just a little bit better quality of life from my standpoint, to be able to take a vacation and know I know someone's home and has my back. So that was kind of the main standpoint, but I'm also looking at these further opportunities that, you know, she's new to the market and she's doing well, but you know, I need to feed her too. Like I need to be able to provide her leads and opportunities to grow as well along with me. And so utilizing this technology in a way we talked about before COVID, doing, you know, home buyer seminars and things like that we never really did a lot of. And because I just didn't need to do that type of stuff as an individual agent. I was, you know, being pretty fed with my referral business. But to utilize this technology, then to this Zoom technology to host webinars and host, you know, a wider range of audience where you're also not spending the money to, you know, rent a space or to buy food and drink to have at the office. You're not overcoming the obstacle of getting a first-time home buyer that's nervous and scared to actually go fill something out or be face-to-face and have that conversation. They now can kind of sit in the background on a Zoom call, watch this webinar, and they're going to have to put their information in anyway to get that access to the webinar. But they're a lot more likely, because it feels less, you know, maybe high stress, high ask of us to just provide the information and just to put it out there. So utilizing the technology to do things like that, I think have been a great opportunity moving forward, and something that does not need to stop. That's you know, once COVID lifts or anything, I think it's still a great opportunity to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely, we were realizing it with like listing consultations, with buyer consultations, like, you know, you've got to get dressed, drive there, you know, get all your paperwork ready, meet, drive back. So, I mean, it could be a 2 or 3 hour like ordeal, right? Just in like, from start of like, hey, I'm getting ready to go, to the time you sit back down in your chair at your office or your house. So, you know, hopping on Zoom and going over everything, you know, we immediately made, you know, different kind of like PowerPoint presentations instead of like the books that we have and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we actually just closed a house. I guess today's Friday. So like Wednesday, that I had actually never stepped foot in the house. I did a Zoom presentation with the seller. I had a lockbox dropped off at the house. She put the keys into the lockbox. We had a photographer go. The photographer took all the photos. Our videographer went, took all the video. And
was that more because of the seller's preference to minimize contact, or was that just kind of how it worked out?
It just kind of worked out that way. You know, like we had the conversation. She, you know, was like, okay, all of that makes sense. I like the marketing. I like the plan. Like, that's good. And I was like, all right, like, you know, on this day at this time, and I can have a photographer and videographer there. You don't have to be there. You know, like, I mean, just make sure all the lights are on, you know, and doors are open.
Awesome.
And then, you know, when we were going to do open houses, it was right when everything was spiking here. Back a few months, like, I guess that was 45-ish days ago. So we were like, like probably not open house. We did a couple of virtual open houses, and she was like, totally, let's do it. And we closed. So it was just, it's kind of crazy. Like, definitely not how, you know, we were doing business last year. That would have been a 2-hour listing consultation. I would have been there for photos and, you know, but we definitely just had to kind of pivot and, you know, make sure. So
that's the name of the game. And I think people are becoming, I think us pivoting and other people are also pivoting with us, because they understand that like things are changing and things are being done slightly different than the traditional ways. So that helps us for sure kind of reach that market in a more comfortable way for them, I guess, because they understand things are changing.
Yeah. So kind of a fun question. What's a fun fact about you, or something that most people don't know about you when they meet you?
So I thought about this on, this was the one question I really thought about, because when you sent me the email, I was like, what's something, I mean, I'm a pretty open book, so there's not a lot of secrets about me.
It doesn't have to be like a secret, but just like, or it could just be like a fun fact. Like,
so I once hula hooped for 2 hours straight. That's
interesting.
I think that's a pretty fun fact. And
was it a contest?
The reason I was doing it was for a contest, and I hula hooped for 2 hours straight, only to lose to my little sister, who hula hooped for 6 hours straight. So
well, okay. So how many people now, like, we need to get into, so
this was years and years and years ago. I want to say I was maybe like 24 or something like that.
Yeah. Cause at our age, like, I don't think I could move like that for that long. Like that's
yeah, maybe 10 years ago. It was like every summer our town has like a big festival, and they've got different events all over town. And so this was just an event that like one of the radio stations put on, and me and my little sister signed up for it, and she crushed it. I think she went for maybe 5 to 6 hours. Yeah. And there was like 5 people left, and they all just decided like, all right, let's all just call this quits and split the prize money. So could have been there all day.
So it was money involved. That was the prize.
Always involved.
Yeah.
I mean, what else had to be for 5 hours?
There had to be some sort of prize, like, because clearly, like, pride, as great as that is, like,
pride was pride is almost always more of my motivation than the money. But I wouldn't have dropped at hour 5 just to split the money. I would have been the one that, let's drop, and then I keep going.
Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. That's funny. I wonder, like, next summer if there's what contest there will be. So we'll have to stay in touch.
I'll try to sign up for something fun and goofy that's going to challenge me physically. That's for sure. And that's one thing I enjoy as well. When we met in Gen Blue, I didn't realize you were a CrossFitter. So we're both CrossFitters. So I've enjoyed seeing your workouts and stuff too.
Yeah, and that's been interesting. In COVID, when all the gyms shut down, we basically worked out at home, and that was a very long 3 months, almost 4 months, that my husband and I would wake up every morning and work out together. But I mean, if I don't work out in the morning, my day is just, I'm so lethargic. I'm shot. I have no energy.
I can count the fights me and my wife have had on one hand, and if I looked at the cause of what those fights were, it is 2 days of Sam not working out back to back, and just led to me like being like a monster and just being agitated. Like it's like my medicine. I just have to do it.
Yeah. Cool, man. So if someone is looking to move to the Fort Wayne area, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is at Keeping It Real Estate 260. 260 is our Fort Wayne area code, so you can look me up on Instagram there. My email address is sam@coldwellhomes.com. And those are probably the 2 best ways to do it. If you like dogs, Australian Shepherds, and CrossFit workouts and real estate posts, then definitely follow me on Instagram, because that's about all you're going to see.
All the content. I like it. I think it's the 3 major groups, right? Real estate, dogs, and working out.
Yep. Seems to be a good market for me. So
yeah. Cool, Sam. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time today to chat and catch up. It's always a good time. So is there anything else you want to add or toss out into the universe?
No, good luck to you. Everyone stay positive out there. Everyone's going through something. We're all handling this a little differently. Just give each other some grace and be great to each other and stay positive.
All right. Well, with that, I'll let you go. But thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Katie.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pivot. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and follow Katie on social media at MoveMe2TX to stay up to date in all things real estate.